Okay. So OAF page deployment, the process involves the following things. So as we know that in OAF development, we have 3 layers, model, view, and controller. And each layer may have a different set of files. Like maybe if you consider the model layer, you have AM, VO, EVO, and each component will have a respective XML file as well as Java files. And coming to the view layer, you just have only the XML file. We generally call them as page XML file or region.xml file. Coming to the controller, you always have a Java file, .java file. But when you want to deploy a page to the application server, to the, either it can be WebLogic server or Apache server. So what is the steps involved? The basic thing is, as a developer, whenever we design any pages using JDeveloper, so we have 2 folders. One is my project, another one is my classes. Okay. So my projects is a place where whatever you write it, the source code will be available, and my classes will have the compiled code. Okay. So generally, let us say if you consider Java, so the compiled code of Java will be available in the my classes folder in the same respective directory. So maybe we can just see that first. So here, this is the my projects folder, and this is a my classes folder. Now, let us say if you see my projects and maybe XX mini, Oracle apps, FND, maybe server. So we could see all Java as well as XML. And similarly, when we see JDev home, my classes, XX mini, Oracle apps, FND, server. Here you can see only class files as well as XML files. Okay, that's a major thing. And for Java, we know the compiled code is a XML class file, but for the XML, it is still XML. It's just kind of a replication of the same XML file. There is no specific compilation generated file for the XML things. Okay. Now, so what we have to do is, so all the layers, to say, as we have 3 layers, model, view, and controller. So the files, the class file, first thing is the application server. Application server requires only the compiled files. Application server requires only compiled files. It does not require any other file. It won't even read it. To say, it won't even read uncompiled file. Okay. So in the model layer, whatever the class files we have, whatever the XML files we have to copy them to Java top. We have to copy them to the Java top, maintaining the same respective folder structure. And similarly, whatever the files which we have in the view layer, we know that we have only XML file. These files should be deployed into MDS layer. This should be deployed to MDS layer, nothing but database, nothing but JDR tables, Java database repository. Okay. And coming to the controller, in the controller, you'll only have class file. This has to be copied to the Java top. Okay. This is a major important thing we have to consider when you are deploying to the server. And this functionality is same for both R12.1.3 and R12.2.9. Okay. So here I'll write it. See, copy of the files. Okay, it is same for both of the versions. Now, next thing is, let us say once you have copied the files, so what is the next step, right? So we need to copy the file. We need to copy the XML file to the MDS layer, isn't it? Unless a file is available in database, you cannot even do anything. So now to deploy the XML file to the MDS. So let us finish the Java top logic first. So what I'll do is, now I'll go to my application server. So let us say if we want to know what is our Java top, maybe sometimes we may forget, or we may not have the appropriate information. Then you just echo Java top, get the Java top location. Okay. Now just open the Java top on the right side, and similarly in the left side, open your my classes folder. Open your my classes folder. Okay. Now copy this one and open here. Now let us say I want to deploy the XX mini total package. So now here in our XX mini, what all we have? We just have only 2 pages in the XX mini. But for any page to work in the XX mini, now let us say here, if you observe, now we just have only 2 pages. right? Or maybe
Yeah.
3 pages, but let us say, assume these are the two main pages we want to deploy. So now, until unless the respective class files AM, VO will are deployed, the page will not work. It's of no use, right? The page will not work without having the dependent components. So nothing but I just need to move the total folder from my classes to the server. Okay, so now what we have to do, I'll just simply move XX mini from my local machine to the server. Okay, in this case, right side here if you observe, it is already there, but you can replace it. Okay, but let us say if you are moving for the first time, you will not find any folder available. Okay, and one more thing, let us say, assume that like the page, nothing but the folder is already available and you have changed only one file. Okay, rather than moving all the files, what you can do is you can just move only the respective file. Let us say I just have a change in my controller. What I prefer is, let us, instead of like replacing all the files, I'll go to the respective location here, and the server also, my local machine also, I'll go to the respective folder, and then I'll simply copy only the file which is changed. Okay, I'll just copy only the file which were changed, not all the files. Okay, because in the projects you may be working on a new requirements, or you may be working on the existing requirements, right? So in those scenarios, better always copy the files which you have worked on. And one more important thing is, some of the clients don't maintain any version repository, like they don't have any Git or SVN kind of thing, right? So in those kind of scenarios, we have to be very careful, as they don't maintain any of the source code. What you always need to do is, existing class file, whatever you have it, always have a backup. Now let us say, in my case, what I'll do is, let us say I don't have any what do you call, I'll just mention like this, backup of fifth, like this, and then I'll copy this one. And similarly, some clients just maintain even the source code here itself. They still maintain the source code and compiled code within this here itself. Okay, it is all their practices, but they still maintain. I have seen many of the clients like that. They maintain the source code and compiled code here itself, because maybe they don't have any other version control system. They don't want to spend extra on their IT infrastructure. They simply mention the thing, or maybe their requirements for these kind of things are very less. Obviously, they maintain everything here itself. Okay. Now, assume that now we have moved the relevant files, like we have copied all the model layer files as well as control layer files. Even though the view layer here, if you observe, right, even though here, if you observe in the view layer, I mean to say in the web UI folder, I have my XML files which are available here. Okay, even the file is available here, the server will not consider reading this one. The page files or a shared region files will be read only from MDS layer. The shared file, the shared region or pages will be read only from the MDS layer. Even though we generally copy the XML files here, it's of no use. Okay. Now, next thing is, how do we deploy the XML file to the server? Okay. For that, we need to use a command called XML importer. With that, we just need to use a command called XML importer. Let me show you that. So here, if you observe, this is a command, and this command is same for both of the versions, no difference. R12.2.9 and 12.1.3. So the command is Java. It's a Java utility. It starts with Oracle, JRAD utilities, and all those things. And here, if you mention, we have mentioned a file location, right? We mentioned a file location. Okay. So generally, like for what we do is, like we want to deploy this particular page to the MDS layer. Okay. What we have to do, we need to mention where the file is located in the application server. So the easiest thing is, simply copy the total folder which is there in your my classes. So nothing but your web UI XML is also available in the Java top in the same location. So that is why we are mentioning like this, Java top and this location. But let us say if your XML file is available in different location, you can still mention that. There is no harm in that. Okay. But this is one of the best practices to maintain the easiest way of deploying it. Now I'll copy this command and now go to the putty. Okay. So now you can just execute. Okay, now it has to mention like this, importing a file with this particular location, and as also something it has to mention. If there is any, always read the response from this one. Always try to understand the response from this one, because sometimes what may happen is you have a location like this, and you may be deploying to some different location, which will not work in the registration process. Now, what it is telling, it is importing a file. It is importing a file which is available in this location. It is importing a file which is available in this location with the hierarchy of this one, with the hierarchy of this one. Okay. Now, what we can do, how do we find out? Let us say, what is the hierarchy of my page? What is the way it actually deployed into the MDS layer? What we can do is, we can just open our SQL developer, and we can, using the JDR utilities, we can try to find out how the page is deployed in the database. Okay. So let's say, or maybe I'll open a new worksheet. Let's say this is my page location, page name. So let's start from JDR paths, where path underscore name. This is the page. Okay. And now let us say, how do I know whether the way it is deployed correctly or not? This is the easiest way. JDR MDS internal get document name path underscore doc ID. By just this one, we have to always validate whether this is deployed properly or not. Okay. Now, next thing is like we have done the movement of files. We just moved the files and we have deployed to MDS layer. Okay. So copy the files, and this is the MDS layer deployment. Okay. So this is step 1, I can say. This is step 2. Okay. And step 3 for EBS R12.1.3, we just require only Apache bonds. Just require only Apache bonds. Okay. But let us say, if it is for EBS R12.2.9, okay, we need to generate a custom jar file, and then we require WebLogic bonds. That's the only extra step. This is the only extra step.
What is custom? What we need to do? Custom jar file. We need to generate that. How to generate?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll just give the commands.
This one, right? In which path we have to run this command? This Java, which?
1 minute. Is the sharing go? Okay, 1 minute.
No, sharing is.
1 minute. 1 minute. So which one you're asking?
No, this one, right? You ran that command, right? Java.oracle dot in the putty. That one, which like what is the present working directory like in
It can be
Java?
anything. It can be anything. The basic reason is you're running a command. You're providing an input file path, right? So it all depends upon what is the input parameter. You can run from Java top, application top, anywhere you can run it. Isn't it?
Okay, yeah. You ran from the classes.
Yeah. So now here, if you observe, I just ran from my Apple manager. Now let us say, if you want to preferably what you can do, you can just simply go to Java top. Maybe in some environments you may not have the executable permissions in a given directory. In those cases, you simply go to Java top, okay, and just copy the command. And now we can just see my present working directory, and you can just run it. Okay. Here the important thing is, where is our XML file location? So now in our case, file is available in the Java top. Let us say if it is available in a different location, assume this is available in a different location. So in those kind of scenarios, what you have to do, you need to mention that location, isn't it? Let us say if it is available in my some other folder, let us say application top. So then you have to mention your appropriate location. See, it is not that we always need to mention some top location. You can mention a folder name like this. Let us say U01 or temp, something like this also you can mention. No harm in that. Okay, but just maintain easiest way to remember and to maintain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here apps hyphen password, just like that is a keyword, right? Just like apps. There we don't need to give any apps password, right? The apps
No,
hyphen password.
you require apps password. This is apps password, the actual apps password. Username is apps and password is apps. Yes, it's actual.
Oh, apps
Yes.
password. Oh, apps. Okay, real or database password. Okay.
Yes, we have to mention that. We have to mention the apps password.
In your case, both are same. Okay.
Yes, in my case, yeah, training environment is same. Okay. Yeah. Now this is a major important step in the 12.2.9. Okay. So now step one we understood, right? Step one is simply copy of the files, the folder to folder, or maybe the respective file. Next step is deployment of the page file or region file. It is for the purpose of, let's say, deployment of page or a shared region. Okay. And next step is, it is for the purpose of bouncing a server. Okay. For EBS 12.1.3, it's simply bounce. There is no generation of logic. And now, but is for R12.2.9, you require a little bit different logic. Let me write here. You just need to maintain these steps. Okay. So let me explain that what we are doing. And after this, you have to bounce. Okay. So after this step, you require bounce. Okay. So what we have to do is the server which is there, the application server which is there in the 12.1.3 and 12.2.9, it is different. In 12.1.3, it was Apache. In 12.2.9, it is WebLogic. Okay. The server it's like engine is different. Let us say if you consider a Maruti car with Alto, different like a Tata car, obviously car is a car, but the internal engine is different, right? That is how it is. So WebLogic server deployment is a little bit different. So what we have to do is, now here if you observe, first of all, I'm navigating to Java top. Then after that, I'm simply copying existing backup file. So generally here, if you observe in my scenario also, in my Java top, it all depends upon the client environment, how they maintain. So I have a zip file here, custom all.zip, which I generated. Okay. So what I've done, I'm just making a backup of existing zip file. Let us say if there is no zip file available, then this step is of no use. Okay. This step is of no relevance. Okay. No relevance if it is not available. If it is the first time, it is, if you're performing for the first time, obviously it won't be available. Next step is, again, you're maintaining a backup of the ZAR file also. You're making a backup of the zip file as well as ZAR file. And then you're removing it. You're removing the existing zip file as well as ZAR file. Of course, again, it won't be relevant if it is not there. Now here comes a very important part. Now here, if you observe what I'm doing, xx-r custom all, and followed by, I'm mentioning the folder name. So what I have to do is, now in our case, let us say I'll go to Java top. Okay. Now what all we have it? So we have cd Java top. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So we have, so first thing what I'll do is, let us say custom all dot zip.
What is the custom all zip? Which
it is a, let me explain. What is this command? This command is zipping all the folders which is available in the xxmts to custom all zip. Maybe you can observe like this. Let us say see here, see files. Okay. Now let me extract this. We can easily understand what actually it is having. Okay. What it is having in this one, custom all zip.
Yeah.
It is simply zipping the list of folders which are available, which we mentioned. It is simply zipping the folders which are available, what we mentioned. So in our case, now let us say, apart from my Oracle folder, don't worry about the standard Oracle folder which is available. Just we need to zip only the folders which are the custom deployments. Now in our case, XX mini is my custom deployment. XX R12.2.9 is also my custom deployment. So what I prefer is, in this case, zip R custom all XX mini, okay, followed by XX R12.2.9. Like this, I'll mention nothing but zip -r, nothing but a recursive zipping. And this is my generated zip file name. And these are the list of folders which I want to zip. Now let us say I will remove the existing zip. Yeah, I'm making a backup, right? cp custom all zip is equal to custom all underscore zip dot backup, and again cp custom all dot zar is equal to custom all dot zar underscore backup. Okay, now I'll just remove the custom all zip, remove custom all zar. Okay, now if you just see what we have, we just have the backup files. Okay, we just have the backup files. You can just refresh here. We should be having only backup files, which may be required in the worst scenario. Okay, if all
But the
work,
jar files, no, jar files, from which files you took the backup zip file for the jar files? Jar files.
I'll explain. See, first of all, we are assuming something is available. We are doing a backup. If it is not available, you can ignore all these set of commands. Okay, now let's start about generating a zip file. Let's worry about generating a zip file now. Now, as of now, we don't have any valid zip file. Assume that there is no backup. Ignore about backup, existing zip file, existing jar file. Okay, assume there is nothing. Now what I'm doing is I'm generating a zip file. Okay, custom all zip hyphen r custom all xx mini followed by xx R12.2.9. Nothing but we need to mention the list of folders. We need to mention list of folders. Let us say
custom folders, all the custom folders.
yes, yeah, correct. Only custom folder. Yeah, that is correct. Now let us say I want to mention one more thing. Assume that I want to mention the xx tcs also. I'll copy the xx tcs now. Okay, so here I'll do xx tcs also I'll mention. Now
Yes.
it generated a zip file. It mentions, it internally generates some kind of set of commands. You can ignore all of them. Now what we can do to understand whether this zip file what it generated is correct or not, what we can do is just move this particular zip file to our local machine, and we can try to validate. Okay, is it correct or not? We can validate. Okay, now I'll remove existing folder here to understand whether what it extracted file correct or not. Extract to a custom all. Now refresh. Yeah, now can you see it is having 3 folders. First thing is simply, if always remember, if something is available, follow these steps. If it is not available, simply follow the other steps. It is not. Okay, I'll mention here. These are required only if it is available. And make sure that like it's not that in all environments you'll have the zip file name with custom all. It can be with the client name or a project name or something. Okay, but it should have only one zip file and one jar file only for the custom tops. Okay, of course they can maintain different things, but what I know is it has to be only one. Okay, next step is we have done the zip file. Next step is you just need to copy this command. Here can you see AD Java? There is we have to just call this particular command AD Java, followed by we just need to mention the custom zip file location, zip file name, and we are mentioning what is our jar file name, and then followed by a key password kind of thing. So this particular step will generate a jar file from the zip file. I'll just execute. Okay, it performs the auto sign of the thing for a jar file. Can you see a jar file is generated now? Okay, so this is the next step which we require to generate a jar file. Once a jar file is generated, the next step is simply bouncing off Apache server. Okay, only these 2 steps are the extra steps. Only these 2 steps are the extra step for the 12.2.9. Okay. Now next is the final step. Once assume that the bounce is done, and you can also validate your page availability in the MDS layer and also verify the files which are available in the respective Java top location. Next step is the page registration. Page registration is same in both versions. Page registration is no change. It is same in both versions. Okay, nothing but you just need to create a function. You need to assign to a menu, and that menu should be assigned to a respective responsibility. That responsibility should be assigned to a specific user. The same concept, no change here. Now what I'll do is I'll just try to create a respective responsibility menu specific kind of thing. I'll go to application developer. First of all, what we have to do, we need to create a function. Isn't it? So I'll open my function. application function, and I'll say XX mini Evo search page. Okay, or maybe search page function based on the convention you can follow. XX mini Evo search page. Okay, in this is the function name, this is a user function name, and in the properties you need to mention value called SSWA JSP function, nothing but self service web application JSP function. This is mandatory when you want to register a OAF page. In the form there is nothing to enter. In the web HTML you need to mention a function, a command like this. So what is our page path? In our case, when you mention execution of the page, right, this was the page path. Okay, this was our page path. So in the function, what you have to mention, you need to mention OA.JSP question mark page is equal to the page path. This is how we have to mention OA.JSP question mark page is equal to page path. Now the save it, and this is our function name. This is the function name which we have registered. Next thing is register a menu. Of course, we can assign to the existing menu, but we are just doing it from a fresh. Now create a menu, XX mini menu, and you can just assign Evo search page. Okay,
That may need to responsibility. Right? That may need.
yeah, that's correct. So now I'll navigate to system administrator to create a responsibility. Security responsibility define XX mini underscore resp application object library XX mini. Okay, XX mini. Okay, now this is a responsibility we need to assign to the user. So I'll just assign to user. I'll just assign here. Okay, so now what we can do, we can navigate to the responsibility. So I'll just say I'll navigate here. XX mini. Can you see?
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah. It says some sort of issue. It says this particular PO details page is not there, right? Now here, if you observe what it is telling, FND no region data, FND no region data, region code is equal to XX mini. So what is the way we have to validate? Copy the page name which it is showing here. Check out from the database, is it available or not? This is the easiest way. Can you see? It is not available. It is not available. So nothing but this particular page is not deployed, even though the search page is deployed to the MDS layer. See, it is not giving an issue. It is not giving an issue with the application server. I mean to say, it is not giving an issue with the list of application module related exception. It is not giving. It is simple. It is giving an issue with the non-availability of a file in the MDS layer, isn't it? So now, so maybe everything will fail, right? Everything will fail. So the only search page is working, the next page is not working. So we have validated in the backend, in the database layer, it is not available. So what we can do, so we just need to execute this command, right? We just need to execute this command with this file. So now what is the file name? This is a PO details page.xml, right? PO details page.xml. So I'll copy this one, and now you just need to execute this command. Okay, and it says imported as, hopefully it is correct path. Now you can validate from backend. Now it is available. Now it is available. Let's try again. Let's try again. I'll go back. Okay, search again. Now maybe you can try update. Can you see? Now it is available. Okay, so this is how we can validate the exception. So always remember, when you get an exception, try to understand the exception message. From there, from that only we'll get a clue. Most of the times, not every time, but most of the times. Okay, it is not showing.
Bounce not required for this one. You did not bounce,
Yeah.
right?
So yeah, bounce is required. Bounce is required only when there is a change in Java files and the XML files of the BC4J components. Okay. Bounce is not required. Bounce is not required for PG or a region file changes. Only functional administrator clear cache is enough. Only functional administrator clear cache is mostly enough. In the worst case, maybe you require a bounce, but generally, as it is just simply move to database, as we generally move to database, there is no requirement of bounce for the PG or region files. Yeah, it is working fine. I mean, yeah, we are able to see some data. Right. Now, maybe let us say if you just, yeah, let's try this. This may not work out, right? Maybe, yeah, this generate pivot one. Okay, this is for the submission request. That's fine. Okay, so like what all we understood, the 4 steps involved, right? The first step is, and yeah, one more thing is like whatever the workspace or a project which is available in the which we use it during JDeveloper creation, it's of no relevance. Okay, that is only during development itself. Okay. Okay. So first step is copying the files. Next step is like a deployment of the appropriate component, the pages or regions to the MDS layer. Next step is this one. Okay. Now let us say if at all like assume that like as I told you, right, in some environment they don't maintain the source code repository. In those cases, how do you get the page file, right? pg.xml class file, anyway it will be available here. Class files are available here, and generally they have to maintain Java files. If they don't maintain Java files, again the worst thing is you need to decompile using any of the decoders which are available. Okay, that is not 100% correct, but if there is no option, that is only option. If there is no other option, that is only available option. Okay, but how do you get the file from the MDS layer? So we have API. Now what we can do, execute JDR underscore utils dot print document and mention the page path. Okay, copy this one, mention the page path, and you will get the XML file, and just save this XML file in the same path. So when you get the XML file from the server, right, you need to maintain the same path again. So this is our XML file. This is our XML file, and you have to maintain the same path and copy to your JDeveloper location, and then you can perform the remaining changes. Okay, there is no harm in that. It will work out. There is no issue in that. Okay, and yeah, so now let us say now the page got deployed, right? So personalization is also available for the custom pages. Anything is available. I mean to say like a personalization or extension, or both are available for standard pages as well as custom pages. But generally for the custom pages, no one prefers to do it. For this particular, like what you say, I mean to say for the custom pages, there is no need to perform any personalization or extension by just from the UI, right? You can do any changes directly from the what do you call the source code, because we have a source code, then we can perform whatever we want. As we have the source code, we can perform whatever we want. Okay, but again it depends. Like maybe let us say in my case, now I want to perform personalization on my custom page also due to some urgency. I don't want to go to the page file, deploy and all those things. I simply want to perform the personalization here itself. Yes, I can still do it. Now let us say this message input text I want to personalize here. I'll say here site level, instead of enter PO ID, I'll say please enter PO header ID. Okay, I'll just mention like this, tab out. Okay, it got saved. And before saving, let us see one more important thing. Before saving, what I will do is, I have not saved yet. Copy the same command, and then call an API called list customizations. List customizations. So this will list down the list of list customization. Customizations. Yep. Okay, can you see there is no content here? It's not showing any content, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, no content. Okay. Toggle line number. Yeah. Now let us say I'll just simply apply now. I'll click on apply. Now you go back to database and you can observe it has to generate a particular stuff. Sorry, it was pivot search page, right? I'm sorry. It is pivot search page, isn't it? It was pivot search page. It is not. Yeah, it was pivot search page. Can you see?
Yeah.
Pivot search page. Okay. And you can just click on include personalization items only. Let us say like this. Now I'll click on personalize here. Now I will revert. Okay, I'll just say inherit. I'll just simply say inherit and apply. Now go back and see what it will generate now. Okay, still it is generating. Can you see? Now what happened? We used it, we reverted it, but still it is generating a content, isn't it? Now just see what is the content in this one. What is the content inside this one? So from UI, we cannot observe that information. So what we can do is we can just copy the command, copy this one, clear the cache. Okay, can you see there is no modification, but it is generating something because you have touched it. It is simply generating something because we have touched it. That's only stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is how we can validate using all these particular JDR utils, right? We can play around. I mean, we can get good amount of information when there is no option which is available in the UI. Okay. Sometimes what may happen is, let us say, assume that we have a page, and even like the page is not even getting opened and simply says an exception. Okay, you want to find out what is the page name, what is the responsibility name, what is the page path, what is the AM, right? In those scenarios, you require a page path. You require a page path because in some scenarios you may not even have the application developer responsibility. What you may have is just a responsibility name and your particular function. That's it. In those scenarios, what you have to do, you need to get the page name, and from there you can play around. Okay, what is the controller behind it? What is the AM behind it? What is the page path, page XML behind it? And then from there we can debug it. Okay.
Yeah.
So clear with the registration steps of the page.
Yes, clear.
Okay. So we always, whenever we get any of the error, right, we need to always find out whether it is a non-availability of the file of which particular component. Is it a Vivo XML changes or AM changes or maybe the page changes? We have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is all about the deployment.